Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of the Crypto Hipsters Curtain Calls. This podcast episode is a compilation of 4 podcasts of 4-minute clips from 4 podcasts across seasons 6, 7, and 8. Our topic of conversation is a really good one. It's Solana. We talk about Solana, and the topic in the title is, Sam's Coin. How Solana's continued development has strengthened its network and transformed this blockchain named Solana into so much more than just Sam's Coin, which is what it was known as when it first started out back in 2022, 2021 timeframe. So this podcast episode is a compilation of 4 conversations I had. The first conversation was from July 2024, over the summer that year, season 7. We talk about, I had a conversation with Mitchell Gildenberg, who is the co-founder and the CTO of Switchboard. I almost said Gildenboard. It's Mitchell Gildenberg, and it's Switchboard. And we talk about, advancements in oracles and the evolution of Solana beyond simply Sam's Coin. The second conversation was with in April 2025, during this last season, season 8, with Joanna Zeng, who is the co-founder and the CEO of Soon. And we talk about, why Ethereum must be saved soon, no play on words there, and how the Solana virtual machine, the SVM, can help Ethereum survive. It's a wonderful conversation. Check that out. That's on video. The next conversation I had was with Chris Chung. Chris Chung is the co-founder and CEO of Titan, and that was January 2025, also during season 8. We talk about insights from building the Solana's first meta decentralized exchange aggregator. And last but not least, I have Michael Repetny, who I talked to in September 2024. He is a core contributor at Marinade, and we talked about how to design the most flexible and efficient staking strategies and experiences for Solana users. So there's been all this strengthening, all this building, all this development in the Solana network over time. And this dives into, these 4 podcasts dive into the technicalities and the, what's being built, the usability, the utility of Solana, and does not just talk about price. Okay, we dive into the technicals, and it's really educational for those who want to learn more about Solana. This is a wonderful compilation of 4 podcasts, and of course, all my podcasts are on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. Check them out. Check out the full episodes if you're interested in the 4-minute clips in these episodes. Check out the full episode. So, thank you, and I'll see you at the end of this for the wrap up. The Lions are more than just Barry's team, and Solana's more than just Sam's Coin, right?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just how has it transformed,
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I remember in the, Solana Breakpoint 2021, on the walls, there was little QR codes to get the Sam NFT. It was very much a meme, or he was almost like a mascot in the day for it, And you can become a mascot, it's for him, he was a personality, and it really was. And then that was also some of the character he was playing, He played into that, and he admitted to playing into that for this vibe, for this type of persona that was really attracted to that. In the sense that it's his coin, he never developed it. He recognized it as a strong potential, as a really good technology stack, and he built the first collab on it, which was Serum, which really bootstrapped liquidity for the chain and got a lot of community there. But that didn't mean there was any less value to this market, or less value to basically a blockchain that was actually cheap to use. Because there's no blockchain currently that has that throughput. And if you actually look at what's coming, have you ever heard of Fire Dancer yet? The Solana project Fire Dancer?
I heard of it. I don't know what it
Yep.
is.
So the original benchmarks that Solana was doing between like 100 validators or so was 50,000 TPS. It didn't actually make it to that because when you have more nodes to form a consensus with, it becomes a little less, efficient. So in reality, what you have is closer to 5,000, 6,000 TPS max right now. On the benchmarks for Fire Dancer, which is being rewritten from scratch, it's benchmarked at 1,000,000 TPS. So if this comes to fruition on their original benchmarks, we could see transactions be that much cheaper for Solana and that much more scalable for people to just interact with all these different chains. And if it's more scalable, there's less competition, which means more volume because there's more capacity for more trades.
I'm trying to think who's that. How fast is Hedera?
How fast is Hedera? I don't know their
Yeah,
stats. Sorry.
like they were supposed to be the most, maybe a million TPS. That's
That's the original claims, and there was some documentation that they were going to do something very cool with Fire Dancer, which is basically a way to do validator extensions. And I'm not sure how familiar you are with Jito, but Jito basically custom wrote a validator for custom ordering transactions for MEV and like optimizing extractable value from ordering transactions. There's a way that any new validator can come on and basically make a marketplace for plugins for ordering transactions, which could be a very, very interesting tool if the MEV market really expands. I'm not sure how much it will right now, but it's a very, very attractive market because, it takes work, but some people do make it big there. I remember a few months ago, there was a case where somebody made 24 million on a single trade.
in the MEV market.
Yes.
I've only heard things about the risks in the MEV market and the concerns that it was an
Yes, there's plenty of concerns, because they could be sandwiching user trades, which could be, a malicious act if you're, targeting these unbeknownst actors, and they have basically on the UI of, let's say, Radium, they believe they're buying something at $50, and then someone could try to sandwich them and make them buy it for $70. These platforms are getting smarter to control that, but you got to make sure that as a DeFi platform, you're entering a fair service agreement with the user when they're trying to buy something.
or first is why does Ethereum need saving and at a crossroads? And then second, you mentioned memes. Why have Solana's only or best successes been just for memes?
Yeah, yeah, definitely myth on both sides. I mean, I think the first one is going back to like what the infra enables, right? So essentially, the Ethereum, the roadmap has been very heavily focused on the ETH-L2 side, and then you have like just on the OP stack alone, you have 200. Like literally, I just looking at this, it's like 200, about 200 ETH-L2s out there, right? Without much differentiator, I don't think any person can like tell you even like the top 10 of them, right? So the point is like for Ethereum users, right? Um, the the experience fragmented, the liquidity is fragmented, the overall like the builder culture is also fragmented, right? So what this really is essentially bringing back to the user adoption is like, it just further exacerbate the idea of like, Ethereum is for boomer, to be quite honest, right? Like it's very much for this OG money who park their assets, like as I was saying, right, these rate-taking protocols, or perhaps like people who got into crypto in 2020, 2019, right? Like in the last cycle through the NFT craze. And then that, never really got liquidated, right? So it's all kinds of like these inactive assets. So so that's what we were trying to bring, these new execution environment into Ethereum, so the users can finally make some use out of those assets, right? Can actually start like trading, perhaps like meme is only one example, it's maybe not the best example, but AI agent, right? Like all these new narratives, prediction markets, right? All the new narrative that got first introduced by Solana, right? Because it's enabling people to trade in such a high frequency that were just previously not available on the EVM stack, right? So I think that's what's really powerful about bringing these very differentiated tech stack into Ethereum. And it's actually saving Ethereum from the lack of user adoption. And you can look at this like from a user activity perspective, right? Like there's so much more user activity currently happening on Solana versus like on the ETH L2s, all the ETH L2s plus Ethereum mainnet. So yeah, so it's going back to people are voting with their own transaction, but at the same time, that there's still a lot of Solana builders that can benefit from getting access to this huge user base that are kind of like just idle, right, sitting on their hands, like not being able to do anything. There's actually a good report on the Electric Capital report last year that talk about the Rust builders, right? There's the fastest growth happening on the Solana side because the Rust builders, they were able to get onboarded from the Web2 world. And I think the most bullish part is like it's still really just scratching the surface when you look at the percentage of Rust builders that's currently building in Web3 versus in out there, right? Like outside this bubble. So I think it's like essentially when we look at all the different virtual machines, we looked at actually Solana and then Move, Fuel, a few others, next gen VMs, and it's just become really clear that SVM is going to be what's going to save Ethereum from this current kind of lag, right?
What are the benefits and how to improve trading on Solana?
Yeah, so I think with the whole meme coin phrase, you've been seeing that Solana's infrastructure has been upgrading to keep track and keep processing like tens of thousands of new token launches every single day, handle like insane amounts of liquidity. So I think the infrastructure really is there to start really supporting the next level of financial infrastructure on top of blockchain. And I really believe that's where Solana is coming from. Like with the Trump and Melania token launch last week, you saw that the blockchain functioned admirably, even though some applications did go down. That's more on the ecosystem side of things and applications rather than the blockchain itself. With this, with the lots of developments because of these meme coin phrases, because of the casino that you mentioned, I think the infrastructure and the applications are just more ready for more, prime time, more, I guess, institutionalized type of order flow that we can really handle it. Lots and thousands of number of tokens being integrated, being launched every single day with that significant trade volume coming through. Everything does start off with, if it's a new technology, looking like the wild, wild west, right? And then it's just a matter of time before professionalism, modernization comes in to really like rein that in. And we can see that already. Pumped Up Fund is where everybody launches tokens, but some of these AI agents have been using Pumped Up Fund as a way to raise liquidity and funds for themselves. So it's actually pretty interesting how that's been evolving.
Yeah, I think I think about the volume that you had and the time you had, incorporate look at those transactions. And then something surprised me. I didn't realize the breadth of it, but the CEO of Coinbase came out and said there's a million new coins. Is it a week or a month? Like, how are you going to be able to, and how can you do it? How are you be able to keep up with that level of volume that gets created all the time?
Yeah, so I think the blockchain itself can already handle it, but what like I think everybody is looking forward to is the Fire Dancer upgrade that'll be coming. So I think the latest testing that they demoed out was I could handle 1 million transactions per second, and that is a crazy, insane amount, especially on a distributed system. I really think that, once we can keep upgrading the applications to handle the amount of order flow coming in, Solana will be easily able to handle all these millions of transactions that, even Coinbase has difficulty keeping track of.
Yeah, I think so too. It'd be interesting. So you leverage how you do this? How do you leverage complete on-chain liquidity through your algorithm, and why does your algo outperform all of your competitors?
Yeah, so basically, how our data structure works is that we connect into every single one of the DEXs that we partner with, and we start getting quotes from them in order to populate our database. Now, the algorithm that we have takes a completely unique approach than anything else in the ecosystem. Most algorithms deployed today on Solana use standard pathfinding algorithms. So these are very classical algorithms that are taught to software engineers, but they're not the best choice for doing operating in crypto markets. Best choice is actually doing like pure mathematical optimization. So you take a look at, our competitors' routes. Usually they like chunk their routes in 10% amounts. So for example, if we were trading like $100 worth, they'll be splitting their routes in $10 chunks. So they might send $40 through one route, $60 through another route. Our algorithm will actually go to machine level precision, and the smart contract itself will actually start splitting routes on the cents level. So just from there, you get some outperformance just from being able to cut up your routes in far lower quantities than our competitors.
Let's talk about DeFi on Solana. So I want to find out, the difference between native and liquid staking, including the risks of both, and then how your delegation strategy comes into play with both of them.
Yeah, for sure. So like we were talking about this concept of staking, it's really delegating your sol to a specific validator, this computer out there. If they do their job well, meaning if they have uptime, if they are correctly voting on transactions, then they are rewarded by new tokens emitted to the system. They get to get a cut of it. So some commission goes to the validators, to those computers out there, and the rest is shared with the delegators. So the traditional concept of native staking on Solana is built in the very layer of Solana, the protocol as it is. So unlike, for example, other chains on Solana, you have this concept of delegation where you can choose as little as, say, one sol. You can pick one of those 1,500 validators on the network. You click a button and you delegate. You are done. You are now participating on securing the network, and you are earning the staking rewards. So this is very easy on Solana, and this is the very native thing, how you do the classic staking on Solana since its very beginnings. It has some drawbacks to some people, meaning that there is this 2-day unbonding period, meaning if you stake your sol and you want to take it out, you need to wait up to 2 days to unstake your sol back. And for some people, this liquidity reason could be an issue. And second thing is that when Solana DeFi came about back in 2021, you as a sol holder was facing an ultimate decision. Should I go and use my sol in DeFi? Should I provide liquidity? Should I have it as collateral to borrow against it? Or should I stake it and get some staking rates? So you needed to choose. And then Marinade would basically bring these things together by introducing this concept of liquid staking on Solana. So in August 2021, Marinade launched liquid staking on Solana as the first protocol out there with the token called MSOL. So MSOL represents your staked sol on Solana, meaning that it solves those two things that I was talking about with the classic staking. Since you are given this liquid token, it allows you basically to exit your staking position at any time, and you don't need to wait up to those 2 days to take it back because you can exit instantaneously. And then B, this MSOL is broadly accepted in the wide Solana DeFi ecosystem almost everywhere now, in more than 50 use cases in the Solana DeFi ecosystem, including exchanges. So it's as easy as on-ramping on Coinbase to go to MSOL right away. And you're getting Solana plus those staking rewards annually within the token. So that's how liquid staking started. And I think that this shows the difference between the two concepts, because for liquid staking, literally the users, what they do is that they would transfer the sol, they would deposit it to a smart contract. So like I was talking about this base layer of Solana staking, there is a smart contract above. And then with liquid staking, you put your sol there, you get this receipt token back, MSOL, which then represents your staked sol. And this MSOL grows in value. You can use it in DeFi. It's your liquid token that you can use around. and it grows 8-9% against Sol just by holding it. So that's how liquid staking started.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was the 6th episode of the Crypto Hipsters Curtain Calls, or this is the 6th episode of the Crypto Hipsters Curtain Calls. I invite everybody who's listening in to look at to watch and listen to my current season 9. These compilations will be made into books. They all are. Sometimes takes a couple years to get them all. This is episode 6 out of 67 compilations coming your way. So enjoy the ride, enjoy this over time. And when we look back, 5-10 years from now, and we see, how these blockchains have developed over the time, you can come back to the beginning and say, hey, this is how it got started. Hey, this is how they promote that. This is how they built it up. These are the steps they took. This is what the founders and developers and entrepreneurs and executives did. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you for episode 7 coming soon. Have a great day.